learning situations or mentors in your career, people that you have met or have been introduced to, have they some things that they've I guess taught you or gave you advice towards that you could share with the players, parents, and coaches?
Yeah, I mean, the first one is probably, just looking at like junior was, Grant Kerr, like, my cousin Colin, my cousin Paul, myself, we all played for Grant. And I don't know what that was. Our dads were, talking, and, my Colin's dad was saying, "Oh, Grant's awesome." So my dad puts me there, and, they kind of give you that confidence that you can go the next level. You know, Grant probably knew he only had me for a year, and he made the best of it, right? And then you go look at my junior career. I look at the turning point of junior was Pete Zabriskie just saying, "Give me 10 games." Like, that was huge for me. Like, those 10 games gave me a career. Like, that's 100% what it was. I went on to lead the league in goals that year. I could have went, probably to any school I wanted. Although I took on game 12, I took a 24-hour decision from Alaska Fairbanks, right? Good on them. That was a great decision on their part. You know, and so I'd have to say that was a huge influence on what I'm doing. My baby's yelling. I got I got 4 kids, a 2-year-old son. So don't worry about that. So I'd have to say, Pete Zabriskie would be the first one. Because that literally set the stage for everything I did. I go into college, I have, Tavis McMillan, unbelievable development coach. And now he's in Denver. Obviously he's pretty good at his job. I look at him, and then I start getting into pro. Oh, sorry, I should go back one. Reza Benab. That's, Justin Benab's dad. He said to me one time, and I was, Justin's one of my best friends. He stood up for me at my wedding. And his dad said, use hockey, don't let hockey use you. And I think I've done that. I used hockey for a college scholarship. I'm a financial planner. Also, I use my degree with that. Hockey, I'm giving back to the kids. Like, I truly think I took those words, and, everything I'm doing for hockey, I think is, in my eyes, I think I'm making hockey better, even through HPL, in the Lower Mainland. I think it truly makes hockey better in the Lower Mainland. And I wouldn't do it if it didn't, that's a longer and maybe another podcast, but, getting into pro, I had some people go to pro, the professional ranks, and they say, "Oh yeah, I had this guy and this guy and this guy, and he was okay, and he was okay." I was pretty fortunate in the fact that my coaches they're like almost all in the NHL now. Like, I was so fortunate to steal their mind. It's like when I'm doing development, someone's like, "Oh, that's genius," and I'm like, "Do you actually think I was laying in bed and I thought that up today?" Like, I didn't make that up. Someone else that's way better than me at this, and now they're in the NHL, they did this and they showed me this. So now I'm going to show your kids this. All my information is stolen, from these coaches. Like, I had Glenn Gullitson. He's my first ever pro coach, in the East Coast. That guy is an incredible developer. Brent Thompson, I think he's still in Bridgeport. He's been up with the Islanders as well. Davis Payne, he's one of the best. Davis Payne is a very serious man. He's, assistant coach in NHL, I think over 10 years now. And the way that he explained things to me was almost like a science, like about tipping a puck or things like that. Like, these are all, or a face-off, shaving time on a face-off. How do I do that? Or tipping a puck. If your stick doesn't start from the ice when the puck leaves the stick of the shooter and you want to tip it, your brain actually has no idea where your stick is because it's not part of your body. He would say stuff to me like that, and it would honestly, like, it would change immediately. It was like immediate effect. Instead of tipping, 4 out of 10 pucks, I'm tipping 8 out of 10. And that's the guy I would say that had the most influence on what I'm showing kids now is probably Davis Payne. Um, I had um, Quinn, who's in New York now. Like the list was I don't know. I hit the jackpot in pro with these coaches, right? Like Quinn, fast and physical. I wonder if he still says that in New York. I wonder if he does. It was everywhere. It's painted all over the room. Fast and physical. I don't care how tall you are.
He does for sure. They
Oh
don't, they
yeah.
don't change too much. I'm sure they do.
Oh yeah. That was his thing. Fast and physical, right? And I don't care if you're 5'2" or you're 6'8". We're fast and we're physical, right? And things like that. Like so. I mean, for me, I smile on my pro career because it made me the coach I am now, and I literally am not thinking this stuff up on my own. Someone way way better than me, and was changing my mind and showing me why you do this and why you do that, and so I've been fortunate that way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's amazing information again for these players, parents, and coaches. Desmond, being from here, hometown Victoria, said the same thing to me as well when I first started out. I first started my spring development with the UVic Vikes team. Harry Shamhart there, him and I partnered up and did some things for some young kids. And Reza is a big name in that UVic program. He just kind of said the same thing, to don't let hockey use me and to use hockey. And I felt like in my last few years of playing, I felt like it was using me, where I took his words, same kind of thing, how you probably felt, but just to use hockey. And that's not only the fact that I was playing it, but more giving back, and also just the lifestyle I've enjoyed doing since I was a young kid, 6 years old, right? Just this is what I like to do, and these are the people I love to be around. The people at the rinks, and the families and the kids themselves with their, their smiles, especially even when you're bag skating them and having them do skating drills, they still smile at the end and they're asking for more, and that's I think that's really rewarding for any coach, I'd say. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's kind of a similar story to, I mean, it sounds like a lot of your coaches, even with your later development, playing the junior B, after minor hockey, even though at that time, short time that you feel like you were delayed, it still worked out for the best, and you were able to hit the ground running into junior A. As much as junior A, I mean, most hockey is a business anyways, but when you get to junior A or WHL, it's a serious business. You could be traded, you can be cut, very cutthroat. And if you're able to hit that team or that league running for just like what you had here, 66 points in that first year, that's an amazing first year. I'd imagine you got rookie of the year or was up for it.
No, I was up for it, but Siglet got it.
Okay, same
Jordan. And
teammate.
yeah, he was a teammate, and he was 18, and he was unbelievable.
Right.
So I lost deservedly because he was unreal. And you know what? The next year, you kind of mentioned, you said we went on a run. I think we finished like fifth in the division, and back then it was Island and Lower Mainland together, and we weren't supposed to do anything that year. It had like me, Green Tree, um, Voros, um, Nappert Fournette, Hamilton, Spence Carberry. Like there was a really Danny Johns. Was Danny Johns on that team?
There. He was, I think, was he AP, but he was Peninsula Panthers, but came out with the
Yeah.
Yankees for a
Yeah,
while.
like there's a lot of like there's a really big like mix of Vancouver Island guys. I don't know if it's still like that then, but back then, like there's a ton of Victoria guys, and we weren't supposed to do anything. And yeah, we went into Nanaimo. Nanaimo was first, and we went in there and we pushed it to a game 7 in Nanaimo. And I remember being on the bus going like, are we going to be able to win in Nanaimo in game 7? Kirk McDonald was on that team too. Um,
Yeah.
and we did. We won it. And then all of a sudden we kind of became a believer. We went into Surrey, swept them, then went to 7 with Burnaby and beat them, then went to 7 with Merritt, beat them. Like I've never played so much hockey in my life. Like there was only one series we didn't go to 7.
Right.
right? So, and that was on Siglet's back, and and we had a little bit of everything. Like we didn't have like that superstar, but we had those guys that we were all chipping in. So like if I didn't score one night, I'll score the next night, and Nappert, Fournette, Greener will score the next night, and it just kind of snowballed until it was done. But no, there was a big Vancouver Island connection on that team.
Big names here in the top scorers of that team, but also in the playoffs: Voros, Greentree, Nappert, Fournette. I guess Brent Williams, Steve Siggety had 20
Yeah, Siggety, roommate.
playoffs. Spencer Gilchrist, McDonald, Dion Dillon was on your team as well. That's a local guy. No, I remember watching at the Memorial Arena that series, especially against Burnaby there when they had Gaich and
I scored a double OT one in that. I think it was game 5 or game 6. I scored a double OT goal from Siggety, and Memorial was rocking. Like that place was jammed. I remember we come out for warm up, and the ends of Memorial, that cement, all the cement, they were full because that's the only tickets that were available. So the rest, everyone had tickets, but you could get the walk up tickets on the end. And we're in warm up, just going off the crossbar, and it's just going into the crowd like full, right? Like and everywhere else, the middle of the arena was empty because all those people were probably just drinking outside. But when that game, that was a game. Nappert scored a huge goal. I still remember that. I have a picture of that one. We're all chasing him, and we're all chasing Nappert for that. You can just see the crowd behind it. But no, it gives me goosebumps talking about that run. I won with Vernon too, but Pete he did trade me that year, and a lot of people didn't know that. And so he said, okay, when I fought with him, I want to stay. He actually traded me right before the deadline to Vernon. And I remember walking up on the bus because I was hearing rumblings. I just had a hat trick in Port Alberni. I'm like, he can't trade me. And thinking to myself, like he's not going to trade me. Like I'm hot right now.
Right.
And I walked down and then Greener's like, man, I heard that you got traded. And I'm like, come on, man. Like I just didn't want to go, right? Because me and Greentree were just lighting it up that year. So like I didn't want to go anywhere. And I went up there and I'm like, hey, Pete. And I still remember thinking like, there's no way he's going to say yes. And I'm like, hey, Pete, do you trade me? And he's like, yep. Yeah, I did. And I'm like, what do you mean you traded me, man? And he's like, well, we're kind of like near the bottom here. Like, I don't even know if we're going to make playoffs. And I'm like, well, I played my whole career here. Well, Curtis, it's a business, and I'm really sorry. We don't want to trade you, but they traded me to Vernon. Me and a guy named Brian McGregor. He was the leading scorer off the couch, and they traded him to the same team.
Well, he was a very good player. Yeah, he went to Minnesota State, Mankato, I think, where I think.
Yeah, and that happened, and then he traded me, and then they had a nice night for me though when I came back to play. 49 goals, and I came back to Victoria, and I thought it'd be like just so fitting if I got 50 in Victoria, but I didn't. I didn't score that night, so I got it the next night in Cowichan. But they had a nice night though. They had like my parents out there, my billets. Reza and Pete did a really nice job for me. And that was at Esquimalt. We were playing there that year, which is a lot different. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's. Every level, like to say especially these days, the scouts and who they look for too. Not only are they looking for, great players, great people, but even those top teams that have really good teams with those top players on it to. Love the leadership and guys that know how to win and win championships. They love it.